I made decisions 2007 that are paying off today.
Mm, mm-hmm,
When I got out of the penitentiary,
mm-hmm.
okay? I made decisions. I make decisions this year. They will not bear fruit for 2 or 3 more years, but they will bear some beautiful fruit.
Mm-hmm.
On the streets, and many people who are not on the streets, all we're thinking about is today or maybe a month out. Okay.
Man.
But what do we do with our finances, with our money for long term? Because it's gonna come. That day
Mm-hmm,
will come. As long as God willing, that day will come. So let's
mm-hmm.
prepare and let's create some environments.
On my $1,000,000 hustle. It is
The $1,000,000 Hustle Podcast, where we keep it real, I stated entrepreneurship wisdom. Learn to think like a millionaire and hustle like you're broke. Here's your host, Billy the Kidd, aka Billionaire.
like a millionaire and hustle like you broke. This free game to change your life, you better so. Think like a millionaire and hustle like you broke. Welcome to the $1,000,000 Hustle Podcast, baby. It is your boy Billy the Kidd, aka BDK. Man. I just got off doing an interview with Ken Miller, my homie, my brother, man, and his story, guys, is so amazing. And I said it a couple times in the podcast, and I'm gonna say it again. Like anything that you're going through, guys, like if you listen to this podcast, you're gonna realize that it might not be as bad as it could be because my man has gone through everything, like legit. And he is killing the game. Like he's doing his thing. So very inspirational. I cannot wait for you guys to listen to this episode. Before we get started, though, I am excited, man. I just got my new sign, the $1,000,000 Hustle, baby. Check it out. Those of you who are watching $1,000,000 Hustle, the LED, man, blessed. So it's funny. I also just finished up doing my movie theater, man, in my house, and we've watched a couple movies, and such a blessing, man. And most importantly, just spending the quality time with your family. That's what it's all about, baby. So, and I think really there's a lot of stuff going on. Lots of lending going on right now. So if you need a loan for your next flip, for your next rental, for your next deal in real estate, please hit me up. The construction company, New Era Construction LLC.net. We're looking at doing a couple things for this coming year, man. Just to take it to the next level. As always, you always have to strive to see how can you improve everything that you do. And I want you guys to really think about that in everything that you guys do personally and in business, guys. And that's what I'm doing. That's what we've been doing. So let's get it. And if you haven't yet, Power Being Uncomfortable, hit it up on Audible, anywhere you can listen. Also order it on Amazon, Walmart.com, anywhere books are available, man, and grab yourself a copy. Or you could just go to BillyTheKid.com, and I'm going to mail you an autographed copy. But I think that's all I got. Shout out to all the Uncomfortables. Killing the game, the Get Uncomfortable Mastermind. I know I've mentioned it before, but I'm going to say it again. They're just hitting all these milestones in there, guys, like they're hitting millionaire status in their companies, all these amazing things. So shout out to the Uncomfortables, man, killing the game. But enough of that, man. Let's go ahead and jump in to this week's episode with Ken Miller. Let's get it, baby. Vamonos. Welcome to the $1,000,000 Hustle Podcast, baby. It is your boy Billy the Kidd, a.k.a. BDK, a.k.a. Billionaire in this mother. You know what I'm saying? I'm super excited, man. Like, the guy I have hopping on today, guys, I've met him, we've talked, and the conversations we've had are freaking amazing. And honestly, like after you listen to this episode, like there should be no excuse of why you cannot get where you want to get in life, because this man has gone through, like legit, I could say everything. Like you could tell me some struggle and I'd be like, yep, he's gone through it. Like I cannot wait, but the resilience behind it for him to actually overcome the stuff that he has. I can't wait, man. I present to you guys Ken. How you doing, brother?
Man, I am blessed. It's so cool. I've been waiting for this, and I'm looking forward to it. And I'm just going to be an open book. So let's get started. Let's rock and roll.
Let's go, bro. The first thing I would like to do, I always like to do at the very beginning is if you could tell us your story from where you're from and, you know, all the craziness you've gone through, and then we'll kind of pick your story as we go, man, because it's a crazy story. So,
Awesome, awesome. I'll do one of the Cliff Note versions, but we'll go somewhat in depth in some areas. I was born October 15, 1962. My name is Ken Miller. I live presently in Bellingham, Washington, but I grew up in Anchorage, Alaska. Born October 15, 1962. My mother was a white teenage prostitute. My dad was the pimp and drug dealer in New York, was a pimp and drug dealer, black. And I was put up for adoption, did foster homes for 6 years. When I was 6 years old, couldn't read, couldn't write, couldn't tell time, couldn't tie my shoes, and got adopted by Irene and Sam Miller. My father was a violent alcoholic, one that adopted me, but I had a loving mother. And at one point, we ran away from him when I was age 12 and moved to Alaska from New York. Grew up in Alaska, went to high school, junior high. I was very well and did very well academically. I was what they call a National Merit Scholar. I was accepted to Harvard. I ended up going to Dartmouth, which is an Ivy League school in Hanover, New Hampshire. Got my degree. Well, I always tell people I got a degree in fraternity with a minor in history and English. So I came out with alcoholism and also some substance misuse, what is called drug addiction. I just want to keep it real on this conversation. Sometimes I speak from the stage like I use these fancy words. Well, I'm not going to do it on this podcast. I'm just going to talk like I talk usually, on the streets or with my friends. So I got out, went into the corporate world for about 2-3 years, and then I was introduced to a substance called crack cocaine. And within really 2 months, 3 months, I was homeless on the streets. And I was remain homeless on the streets for about 20 years. I did 14 inpatient treatment centers, arrested numerous times. I've been to the penitentiary on 3 different occasions, spent years behind bars for some of the things that I do. Some of the ones they caught me for, thank goodness they didn't catch me for a few of them. And finally, in 2004, I was arrested for sales of a controlled substance, a $10 rock of crack cocaine. I was sentenced to 6 years, but threatened with the habitual life sentence. Well, the habitual criminal statute is actually what it's called. And I was looking at 25 to life on my next felony. And that was 2004, September 22nd. I have been clean and sober ever since. I have God in my life. And I also did 3 years, got out, no skills, but have been blessed ever since. And, we talk about this being, a millionaire podcast. And I'm very, very close. I'll be a millionaire on paper next month. I was looking at my numbers before I came on this. Because, and then I will talk a little bit about that. You can talk a millionaire mindset, but are you truly a millionaire on paper? And what I mean, what is your net asset position? So I'm a businessman. I own 3 businesses. I speak across the country. I had the awesome opportunity to meet Billy DHA Kidd at a conference that I went to. And I know you're real. And that's something that I really appreciate is individuals that are true. And I also, particularly care for individuals that have a spiritual background, but you don't have to be someone that I'll kick it with. But are you real? Are you true? Is there alignment? Is there congruence with what you say and what you do? Because I'm looking at some of my notes, I'm right up your alley. I'm all about action. In the end, it wasn't what I thought. It wasn't actually what I prayed. I was put in the penitentiary for what I did. And it was the right thing at that time for me and society. I have no problem with that. But I put myself in positions that'll never happen again. It'll never happen again.
Thank
That's
you,
a
bro.
quick version.
Yeah, no, and thank you. So much wisdom already in there, bro. And not to mention, obviously, your story, right? Like your story is just crazy. Uh, but you mentioned we met, and same here, brother. Like same love right back at you, man. Like you're real as it comes. Like the as soon as we made a quick conversation, I think we just kicked it for the rest of the the time we were out there. So again, you're just a real dude, man, and you said a couple things in there, and I'm gonna ask you about them a little more. Towards the end, you said it was the right thing to do to put you in the penitentiary, and that takes a lot of self accountability. Which nowadays a lot of people are not accountable for their actions, so therefore they think that they can just be brats at the end of the day, and that's not how life works, guys. Like you have to be accountable. Take accountability for the shit that you guys do, and I promise you that your life will change because of it. And you saying that statement, bro, just like hit me right there because I'm so passionate about that. I cannot stand, and sadly, this podcast is for the 3% of people that are action takers, which we're going to talk about a little more. You mentioned action in there. But sadly, it's also people that have been accountable. So, like, the shit that I've done in my life, I've taken accountability and said, hey, you know what? I did fuck up. We're human. Like, to this day, guys, like, the people that I have around me, whether it's in my construction company or in the real estate business, the music business, I'm the first one to go in there and say, hey, you know what? I messed this up. So let's see what we can do. And also come with a solution. But I want to hear from you, bro. What's your perspective? And when I mean come with a solution, can you imagine, Ken, if like people actually came, let's say that something simple, we'll say, the kid drops some juice on the floor. We'll say that as an example. And can you imagine if we'll say you have a teenage kid, and the teenage kid, instead of coming to you yelling or whatever, hey, the baby just dropped juice on the floor, oh my God, right? It's the end of the world, blah blah blah, hands up in the air. What if they came to you saying, hey, I'm gonna go grab a towel and go pick it up, the baby dropped some juice, but I got it. Like, that's what accountability will create, is what is the solution? Let's talk solutions here, because at the end of the day, guys, everything in life has a solution except death. And I want you to drop a little bit on that, Ken, because I'm so passionate about it, man. Sorry, I went on a ramp right there, but I'm feeling it.
Fine. That's fine. But there's so much that you potentially can, what we call unpack. And I hear certain words, and all of a sudden my brain will go down this aisle, or it'll go down this hallway. And going back to accountability, but fundamentally, it's about truth. What is the truth? What's really going on, right? And if you look at truth and you have the ability and capability and willingness to look at truth, you'll see your part in it. Okay. And you were saying something about, and it was really interesting because as soon as I heard it, I was like, yeah, I did that. We make mistakes, but I'm not a mistake. You see the difference? One is a state of doing. I made a mistake. And what is a state of being? I am a mistake. And when we're in a position where we are in a state of being, in a negative state of being, it makes us very, very vulnerable to hurting others, let alone ourselves. I'm a fuck up. Shit, let me just go out there until the wheels fall off. Let's do this. Okay? Because I'm a mistake. It's the difference between guilt and shame. Guilt, man, I pled guilty every time I went to court. I was guilty. I knew it. I'm not gonna fight this. Come on, let's go. Let me lay this down. Do my little 3 months, my year, my couple years, whatever it may be, and then move on. Because I'm guilty. I know that. That was action. But when you're shame-based, what you say is, I'm guilty, I did something shitty. Shame-based is, I am a piece of shit. Therefore, I'm going to hurt people. I'm going to hurt myself because I'm this. I embody this state of being. Okay. So then when you become accountable, what you're saying to yourself is, I'm going to seek truth. And knowing what truth, now I can solve for the problem. One of the biggest difficulties, and again, I've worked with a lot of men, I've worked obviously on myself, is that we ask the wrong questions. We ask the wrong questions, or we're seeking solutions to questions that don't even need to be answered. They don't even need to be answered. So your child, your grandchild, who's 2 years old, spills grape Kool-Aid on the rug. The kid's 2 years old. The kid does not know whether that's right or wrong, and is really not wrong. Children spill things, okay? The question comes back to, because we're going to solve for the problem. Solving for the problem is you wipe it up, you clean it up, you get a new rug. That's solved for the problem. But really the question is, why does that cause me pain and discomfort? Why? It's a 2-year-old child. And again, when as an individual, when you're hurting, when you're in pain, it's very easy to see the faults in others and or see it as a transgression against self, against you. Okay. How dare you cause me this discomfort? You know, baby, why are you late? You're supposed to be home at 6 o'clock. It's 6:30. Dinner's not made. We got a problem. No, I got a problem. I got a problem. She's a human. Traffic was bad. Girlfriend called, had to go rush, help out girlfriend, whatever. But I'm mad because my needs or my self-esteem is lowered because, quote unquote, you disrespected me by coming in late. Okay. And I could go down that alley for a while if we needed to. Okay.
You know that's so deep. You know, it's very deep because it just reminds me of like looking at yourself in the mirror. At the end of the day, most people don't have the balls to look at themselves and self-reflect and see what they need to fix. They're so worried about A, B, C, D person, but not knowing that just look at yourself in the mirror, and that's the problem right there. And if you change that, the world will be a better place. You know, a lot of people get caught up in like, hey, let's change the world. And you've heard this a million times, like, you can't change the world unless you change yourself. And I think that's where I got out of that message, Ken. That was, man, fire.
Let me speak to that, Billy. Let me say
Please.
something about that. Because you said the balls, and what we're meaning is they do not have the courage. They do not have the willingness to accept the possibility of pain. That's what courage is. Okay? And due to that lack of willingness to accept the possibility of going into that room, because when you go into your mind, I always look at this as a long hallway and there's these doors, and then you have to go into specific doors, go into these rooms which are dark and can be scary, and there might be stuff, when I turn that light on, I don't want to see. Past behavior, past actions, past treatment of others and self. I don't want to look at that because my self-esteem is so lacking that if I have anything that's a cut against me or my self-esteem, it's going to make me feel even more less than. Okay, that's one, is courage. But there's two, is people don't know how to go into those rooms. They really don't have the key or the knowledge of how to go into that room and to think. When I work with my guys, so what I do is I mentor young Black men. That is my passion, okay? Anyone who knows me knows that that's my passion. And when I'm talking with them, I'd say two things. One, we're going to go in these doors. We're going to go in there, we're going to take a look at that because we haven't looked at that or we've kept it a secret it manifests itself by certain actions that you're undertaking today or certain perceptions of others and self. But this is stuff that's coming back from high school, college. And I'm not a therapist, bro, but I'm going to keep it real. And I've done this work. Okay. And then the other thing is, check this out, John. I'm going to go in that room with you. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about what happened. Let's talk about how you acquired these specific defense mechanisms so you never have to feel that pain again or discomfort again. Okay. And it's safe with me. 100. It's safe with me. I don't want anything from you other than your well-being. And in time, I build that really. I've been mentoring the same guys, some for 10, 12, 15 years. And we will continue until, one of us wants to, not one of us, they break it up, if they wanted
to. Lots of stuff to uncover there, bro. And I want to ask you, because you mentioned in there you've done the work. And I think the stuff you've gone through, bro, it took a lot of work, right? Like for you to get over it. I want to hear, what was it that kept you going, that kept you sane, we'll call it, as you went through these stuff? I mean, you started off right away, like your mom was a prostitute at the beginning, your dad was the pimp, you went to foster care. Like, what kept you going to the point where you're literally about to hit $1 million with your financials? Like, it's very important, guys. Like, the money will come when you become that, and otherwise, and yes, is there instances where you do get the money before you become what you should? Yes, there is. Sure. But if you look at those people, most of them lose it as well. As fast as they got it, they lose it faster. Whether it's through drugs, through, I always look back, like if I wouldn't have done the work I've done and I would have attained the financial stability, we'll call it, I would have blew it off, 20 years ago when I truly wanted it, right? Like as a teen, or, I want to be a millionaire, or whatever the case might be. I knew that I would have whether it's women, drugs, like alcohol, like partying. And it happens a lot to people that don't become the person they should be first. So I want to hear what kept you, Ken, alive. Like truly, like it sounds crazy, but I think that's what I get from your story, bro. And I told you that, when we met, like your story is just inspirational. And again, there's no excuses. Like those of you who are listening after this podcast, like, anything that you're going through, like you can make it through. Just look at Ken. So if you could elaborate, bro.
Some of it was just fortune, literally the luck of the draw. I've been in at least 3 situations where I was 5 seconds away from being killed. Period. Knives and guns. I've gone to kill someone on 3 occasions that I know of, that I remember, because I drank a lot, okay? And then I tried to kill myself, all right? And I always tell people, I didn't really want to die. I just wanted the pain to end. And I couldn't think of another solution for the emotional pain to end. And it's emotional pain at that point. Some physical too. But what kept me going throughout, and what kept me going, especially after September 22nd, 2004, were 2 things. One is a term we call hope, and that's a perception of future joy, and not even joy, competency. Remember, my biggest problem wasn't the court system, wasn't the judge, wasn't the cops, wasn't the other drug dealers, it was me. It was me, okay? My book coming out in January is Finding Ken. I didn't know who Ken was. And the Ken that I didn't know, I did not like. I hated me. I hated me. But I wake up in me every day. Okay? And then the other one is a spiritual entity, which I call God, which I allowed, well, that's a good term, I allowed to modify my behavior. And what that means is I would pray and say, hey, just walk me through this. I'll do what I believe is God's will, but man, get me to the other side, bro, because I need you and I can't do it for myself. I have failed myself thousands of times, thousands of times. Okay, I'm going to take this paycheck, I'm going to put it in the bank, and I'm going to pay my bills. I'm not going to go down and get some drink and get some crack. No, not this time. 1,000 times. I'm not going to do this crime. I'm not going to do this behavior on the streets this time. Okay. And so it's hard, especially in the beginning, for you to be accountable to self because you don't have a history of being accountable to self. I can do that now. 99% of the time, I can do that. I'm accountable to me. But I'm also a big believer in being accountable to other, what I do is work with men, other men. Okay. And saying, hey, I'm going to do this. This is in the business, part of my mastermind, part of World Shakers, whatever it may be. But I'm going to be accountable to another person. Then I can check in, and also I get that sense of self-satisfaction when I tell them that I've accomplished X, Y, Z. So anyway, those are the two things: is hope, and then the other one is having a spiritual entity or having some type of presence outside of self to be accountable to.
And I love that, bro. Part of my Get Uncomfortable mastermind, we shout out to all the members, man. Shout out to all the uncomfortables in my mastermind. It's crazy. You mentioned, going up to somebody. I've had mentors that have told me, that, you need a partner, right? Like a accountability partner, success partner, whatever you want to call it. And that is what like my group is at the end of the day. Like we have a whole accountability sheet, bro, where, we have to fill it out at the beginning of the month. And then at the end of the month, week by week, what did we do to get those things done that we said we were going to get done? And I call them out, like Ken, like I call the guys out, I call the ladies out. Like if they don't fill the sheet for the week, and guess what? Like I have to lead by example. So you mentioned that too earlier, So very important, guys. Like if you don't have something like that, you need to do it ASAP. And I promise you that alone will just elevate whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish in life. So I love that you touched on that. Very important. Also, Ken, earlier you mentioned, basically, I'll call it judging others. When you were mentioning, that at the end it's our problem, right? Like, I want to hear, as a mentor, put your mentor hat on, or how, because I also believe that you have to learn from others, whether it's good or bad, right? And it is the thin line, right? Like walking that thin line of like judging, right? But I think you have to learn from others, like whether it's family, friends, whatever, so that way you won't commit the same mistakes that they have, or so you will do the stuff that they have done, if it's a good thing, right? Like a positive thing. So how have you managed to handle that when it comes to maybe old friends that you had that they weren't on the same page with you, and it takes a piece of judgment for you to decide, hey, you know what, like it's time to cut the cord, right? Like how have you dealt with that?
Well, you have to do things differently if you want different results. So the first two times I got out of the penitentiary, I went right back to my old neighborhood, and voila, whether I was on paper, whether I was on parole or probation or not, the same results happened. Okay. And, the third time I made a lot of good decisions. And I made a decision. And I talk about this. You are who you hang out with. You are who you hang out with.
Mm-hmm.
And I made a decision that I was predominantly, almost all, hang out with individuals who are going to be life affirming. The other one, and this is an important one, you are who you sleep with. If you want to keep it real, you are who you sleep with.
Mm.
And if you sleep with one of the girls that's not doing life affirming behavior, okay, whether it's drugs, alcohol, prostitution, whatever it may be. Because I went right back in those worlds. I get out of the pen, I'm on. I got my little jailhouse swell on. I'm looking good, smelling good, talk a good game. But that'll take you down. I always tell people quicker than anything else. Okay, so we get that. They get it late. And then the guys, see, the difficulty is this: who you hang out with, you want their admiration, you want their accolades, you want them to co-sign that you're all right. And in the criminal world, of which I was a part of, the drug and criminal world, we have to do criminal activity for them to trust you. Okay? So if you're going to square up and then try to hang out, I can't trust you. I got nothing on you. And plus, you moved over so much to the other side. I don't know if you're going to drop on me. Mm. And it was something I was thinking. I was on another podcast and I talked a little bit about this. And it is so important. So it's who you associate with. Okay? Go kick it, whatever. And so this is the important part. And this is what you brought up, Billy. Do you have the courage to cut them off? That's courage. Okay. Sometimes our self-esteem is so low, we need affirmation. And that's the only place we can find affirmation. Okay. And then there's a part of us sometimes that feel like we owe those people. We owe them. Because they were there, when we got in that situation at the club. They were there when, partner was looking for us with the gun. They was there and he squashed it or whatever. And now we, quote unquote, owe them. And to tell you the truth, it's not that you don't owe them, but you really don't owe them. That was a part of the game. That was a part of the streets. This is what we got into. But for your well-being and the well-being of your family and your loved ones, you have to extricate yourself from those relationships. It's the old barbershop. And it's a hard one. That's one of the hardest ones that I've seen. I've dealt with people coming out of incarceration for years. I was an executive director of a prison reentry, 180 beds, all that good stuff. I've come out of prison many times. And the two things that I see three things that bring people down quicker than anyone. One, they go back to their old lover, girlfriend, whatever. And that relationship. Number two, they go back to their old partners that they were kicking it with on the streets. And then number three, they have a minor setback that makes them question this direction to square up. Because in the end, that's what we do. We square up. Okay? We square up. I'm square. I'm so square. I drive an Audi, drove a Volvo before that. But I mean, my corners are pointy. I'm so square. And I'm cool with that. Okay.
Yo, we'll be right back to this great episode of the $1 Million Hustle podcast. Before we continue, I want you to go grab a copy of my book, The Power of Being Uncomfortable. It is out on Amazon. It is out on Barnes & Noble, Walmart.com, Target.com, and everywhere else books are available. The great news, guys, is you could go to BillyTheKid.com and grab an autographed copy. That is right. I'm going to mail you an autographed copy right now. Audiobook is also available on Audible, and everywhere else audiobooks are available. So go listen to it. Go grab yourself an autographed copy. And I'll see you on the other side, baby. And now back to this great episode of the $1 Million Hustle Podcast. And it also just comes down to just knowing what you want, right, Ken? Like you have to have a plan and where you want to go in life. And a lot of those people are not going to fit that plan, right? Like they're just not going to fit that plan anymore. As you mentioned, like when you were in the streets doing your thing, they fit that criteria at that time. But that was also, I've learned too, there's different chapters in life. And you have to turn the page. You have to get to the next chapter. Unfortunately, I've seen it where I want it more than they want it, and I want it for them more than they want it for themselves. And there's just no way. It takes a lot of energy. And then if you do that, it goes back to what we were saying earlier, where if, let's say that you do drag them on, they don't push it as hard as they should for themselves, well, guess what? It's going to end up crumbling back down because they don't want it. And I think it's important to not be blind to the fact that you have to pick and choose who to have around you. Like, I want you and my team, Ken, right? Like people like you, people that are go-getters that are trying to do something better in life than all our past, right? Like I have a past, you have a past, and it's a matter of how can we break those cycles. You mentioned earlier you're passionate about teaching, and if you want to add anything, please feel free to stop me as you need to. You also mentioned you have a passion about helping Black men with mentorship services, right? And I know why, but I want to hear your why.
My why I do it? Well,
why Black men? Yeah, why Black men?
Well, it's Black men because that group needs it more than any other group, in my estimation. Plus, I know that world. I is one, and one of the most important things is somehow to break that cycle. And right now, I may only do it for a handful of guys. I've worked with maybe 40 over the years. And that's one of the reasons why I speak, because I want to touch more. I have a good message. I call it BTDT. BTDT. Been there, done that. Been there, done that. And you look at me, you wouldn't think that I was a former armed robber, kidnapper, all this stuff that I did on the streets. Okay. I always tell people the 3 times I went to prison are the ones they caught me for. But it doesn't, even the level of my criminal behavior is just a manifestation of my brokenness. That's all that is, and my addiction. But even without the addiction, I was broken. There was some things from my childhood, growing up, the foster, all that. I was damaged. And the drugs allowed me to deal with the damage, okay, internally in the self-talk that I had. But I said, let me work with these young Black men, because we have obviously a big problem in the Black male community, and that we're not there as fathers. I'm not their father, but I have a few that call me Unc. Hey, Unc. Hey, Unc. And I'm cool with that. I'm super cool with that. But I'm here to, and I think we talked about this, Billy, but when I mentor, my main thing, my number one thing is to engender dreams. I give Black men that I work with an opportunity to dream. I even say it to them in the first conversation. I give you permission, because so many people have taken away that ability or that opportunity for you to dream. Oh, you can't do that. Oh, come on, you must be crazy. Oh, you going white on us. Because that's this dream, Or you're going to do whatever. And they pull it away, your peers, your siblings, your parents, your teachers. And so I sit down, and that's one of the first conversations we have. And then I'm just hoping to break that. And when I set this up 15 years ago, my whole thing always was to have generations of Black men helping Black men. It's just not just about me. I want to teach them to be mentored. And at this point, we have 4 generations of Black men helping Black men. 4 generations. Go to my Facebook page. It's a Pass It On group. That's, you see the picture, and that's me and some of my mentees and one of my mentors. Okay, Black men helping Black men to navigate and successfully be really the best version of them. You know, we talk about this, the $1 million hustle, the $1 million. That's just a marker to me, bro. It's just a marker to me. But I'm a big one. And I talk to all my guys about finances. And the crazy thing is Black men or men of color, you know, we can talk about our sex lives all day long. But don't talk to me about my finances. Oh, hey, wait, whoa, you on the third rail, bro. Don't ask me about my money.
Wow.
Okay. I put up my finances. I have a spreadsheet. This is what I've done to get here, guys. These are, if you want a copy of this spreadsheet, you can't, nothing you can do, you can't get in my bank account. Okay. I make over $500,000 a year take home. How did I do that? You see the back here? Anybody watching this podcast? That's a 6-bedroom home I built in Ecuador on the beach with indoor swim, not indoor, but a swimming pool. Beautiful home. Paid cash. Built it for cash. Okay? That's me. But that's just a manifestation of my success. But I'm going to talk about that. We have these secrets that hold us back. I'm going on, hopefully not even a rant, but what I want to do, when we talked about this when we first got on the call, I want to talk about the stuff that we don't talk about. And one thing we don't talk about is finance. We can talk about the things we did with that girl at the club, from the club, all day long. But we're not going to talk about, because so much of our ego is based on our finances. So much.
So true, bro. You know, I always mention how it's so crazy. You hear it over and over, like, oh, don't talk about money on the table, right? Like, where you're having dinner and all that. Like, to me, it's like, I want to talk about money with my kids. I want them to understand the science behind money, the facts about money, the way money works. Like, I want them to understand that. And sometimes, you know, it's stuff I've already talked to them about. I'll just ask them, you know, randomly, hey, what does this mean? Or, hey, what would you do if that happened? Like, I've showed them, you know, checks. I've showed them statements, right? Like you said, financial statements and stuff like that. So with that being said, Ken, what is the best piece of advice that you would give somebody about financials?
Man, there's so many. Oh, there's so many. You know, it's interesting because if you're streets, and I'm talking about streets like I was on the streets, we made money. That was not the problem. But it's how we spent money, how we looked at money, and what we used the money to do, positive or negative, or usually negative. Okay. Oh, I'm just going to re-up. I'm going to take this little profit. I'm going to buy a bigger package. I mean, I could just go on and that. But we get into the civilian world. We get into the real world. Let's put it that way. Because that's not the real world, any way, shape, or form. And we're not taught, usually as communities of color, on how money works, how money has power, how debt works, how cash works. One of the key components in this, I'll call it civilian world, this is called the real world, is the understanding cash is king. Cash is king. Cash is king. And you're like, what does that mean? What do you mean by that? What that means is your ability to access cash legitimately will open up worlds. Will open up worlds. Will open up opportunities because you can move quick. Okay. And then also to be able to understand when you have your finance. I'm a big one on being debt free. Big one on debt free. Because what that does then is it frees up my ability to stack cash or easily accessible cash that when opportunities have come my way, I can buy in, I can be a part of that. So debt, man, I'm such a big, so we have a thing called bling, and we have the capability of being frivolous with our money. I do a lot of podcasts. I listen to a lot of podcasts, and I'm always fascinated about people coming from communities of color, and they acquire finances, and then they waste it on cars, jewelry, women, strippers, whatever. But it's not in preparation for the future. Okay. Billy, we could talk about that one for a while. Mm-hmm. One of the key components of success is how you interpret time. Let me say that again. One of the key components of success is how you interpret time. And what I'm predominantly concerned with is present, near future, and far future. And one of the hallmarks of maturity is an extension of your timeline for decision making. I made decisions 2007 that are paying off today. Mm-hmm. When I got out of the penitentiary. Mm-hmm. Okay. I make decisions this year. They will not bear fruit for 2 or 3 more years, but they will bear some beautiful fruit. Mm-hmm. On the streets, and many people who are not on the streets, all we're thinking about is today or maybe a month out. Okay? Man. But what do we do with our finances, with our money for long term? Because it's gonna come. That day will come. As long as God willing, that day will come. So let's prepare and let's create some environments. And this is the other thing is, this is a big one, Billy. One of the biggest impediments to individuals having financial success is they're not around people who have financial success, period.
Wow, yeah. Yeah.
When we went, and I just put it out there because I just talk. When we went to World Shakers, I'm cool. I'm making my little $500,000, $700,000 a year take home. I'm cool. I get in that room. I'm not gonna mention names because I respect those men in there, but I'm in there with multimillionaires, and I'm like, man, my brain. Because again, when and if, and it will come, I get to that point where I'm, let's say, making $1 million, 1.5, 2 million. There's things I do positive with that money. Believe me, there are things I do positive. But I needed to get around men like that to drive me. And it was so important in my community with the men I worked with. Hey, check this out, dog. I'm a 3-time convicted felon. I came out with nothing. I came out with $2,400 in debt. I got released from prison with $21. Okay? My first job was $6.60, and I couldn't even get a full time. They would only give me 30 hours, so they didn't have to give me benefits. Okay? And I'm paying 125 out of that 180, 160 I'm getting a week for the halfway house. So don't tell me about your problems, because I've been there, done that. BTDT, baby. Okay? So if you're willing, man, I'll support you on the way. I will pay for your conferences. I'll give you money to start your business. I've done that on multiple occasions. Okay. That's just me. And nobody listening. Don't be calling me up. Say, hey,
I'll hit you up, bro. Hey, I got this.
yeah.
Love it, bro.
Uh,
There's a lot to unfold in there, man. It is so crazy because I'll say it on here, man. Like I am a multi-millionaire as well, and you know it didn't happen overnight, and that was one of the principles you mentioned in there. And I felt that, bro, when you said, some decisions that are paying off today are from 2006, 2007. And those are facts right there. Like, when I took the first studio time investment, right? Like for me to go do my music, that investment is paying off today. Like literally, I get some streaming royalties, right? Like from stuff that I recorded back then. So like we have to stop the whole, hey, like day by day, or like you said, I think even a month is pushing it, Ken. I think most people maybe think about tomorrow, but for sure just for the day. Like it's sad, and we need to change that. And honestly, Ken, that's why I have this podcast going. That's why I have the stuff that I do to hopefully help people. You mentioned being around the right people. It is insane how every single person in my mastermind has leveled up. Like one of the guys in the mastermind, 3 years ago when they jumped in, they were doing good with their company, but they just hit their first $1 million a year for their company, and now could they have done it by themselves? Of course, but I think it would have been slower. I think it would have been harder, because being around people that you can go in and pop in and ask questions, or just that third, fourth person looking from the outside, telling you, hey, you know what? I've done this before, or you should do this for your company. And then you start, and then the other thing is taking action. I think, it's the faster pace. And even me as the mentor, I'm also getting a lot out of this group. Like I'm human, guys. Like we, like human beings, like just because I'm at the level I'm on, or like I will never, I think that would be stupidity if I went in there in a room full of great people and thinking I'm the best here. No, like you have to put your head down, be humble, and learn from the people that you're around, and be grateful that you get that opportunity, because most people don't. Most people will be in that box, the comfortable box, right? Like what I call it. Like when you used to go back to the hood after coming from jail, that was the box. You were locked in there. And so now with the new people that you're surrounding yourself with, it's science, guys. Like you can only elevate. Like you are who you hang with. I have a chapter called that on my book, The Power of Being Uncomfortable. And, I live by that. You are who you hang with. Love it, Ken, man. Like this has, like, there's so many stuff in here, Ken, that I can't wait to listen to it myself, man, because you have brought some fire. What is the company that you run nowadays?
We'll be right back. Before we continue, go subscribe to Billy the Kidd YouTube. That is Billy DHA Kidd. Also, go follow Billy the Kidd Music on Spotify, Pandora, Apple Music, and everywhere else music is available. And now, back to this great episode. Let's go.
Hopping out the two, nowhere number 2 foul. Feel like Kobe, though I'm winning, need to do more. My mama sorry, college wasn't for me. Street smart, no degree, just like Kobe. Self-made boss with a suit like a mogul. I'm the new era, you see it on my logo.
I have 3 companies, and my first one is Denali FSP. That's the one I started 10 years ago. And I'm a coach, and I'm a consultant for nonprofits. And predominantly, we write grants for tribal. My wife's Alaska Native, and we write grants for tribal entities. So tribes all around the country. Very successful. We've done very well. It's a blessing. Second company is KenMillerSpeaks.com. You can go to the website for Denali FSP. You can go to the website for Ken Miller Speaks. And I just put it out there. I ain't afraid to ask. I'm looking for speaking engagement. Just flew in last night from Raleigh, North Carolina, speaking on resilience. Anyway, that's my speaking company. And we're doing good. We just got that one off the ground. And I have a brand new company that I'm super excited to share with the audience. And I started with Derek Green, you know Derek, from our group, and it's called Avis Worldwide Group. So AIVAS Worldwide Group. And what it is individuals in Africa and in the Philippines, VAs, virtual assistants, that are trained in AI. They speak English, they do the Google, they do the Microsoft Office, all that, but they're also trained in Copilot, ChatGPT, a Perplexity, beautiful AI. Anyway, we train them all in AI, and then we put them together with a client, and they are very economical. I don't want to put numbers out here right now because we're still working on some of the fun. We just started that one. Oh, we started that one about 5 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, and
Nice.
working on the curriculums, working on the training. We already have some people placed. And the reason I did that, I just want to say this, Billy. The reason I did this was two. One, I wanted to help the people in Africa and the Philippines because it's not really a moneymaker. We haven't monetized it to be a big moneymaker. Don't care about that part. But when I'm talking to people in the Philippines and Africa, and $500 a month is good for them, I'm like, man, I want you to be able to support your family. I want you to be able to meet your needs and the needs of your loved one. And if I can hook you up because you have that skill set, and now with technology. So that's Avis Worldwide Group. We'll be doing our soft launch in January, literally a month away. And then we'll get that going also. So those are the three companies I run, and again, just blessed to have all those.
Love it, man. Love it, bro. And like one thing you kept mentioning that I don't want to there well, you mentioned a lot of things, bro, and like unfortunately we only have the hour, right? But maybe we have to do a part 2 or something. But
Let's do it.
you mentioned manifestation quite a bit. Can you talk to us a little bit about that, please?
Be honest with you, what do you mean by manifestation?
That's the
Which is your
question I have for
definition?
you. What do you mean by manifestation? I think
Wait, okay, let
it's
me talk about this.
and
Let
real
me just
quick because I'm big on that, bro. Like my whole life has changed. Manifesting the life that I want and
right,
also the life that I'm gonna have.
right.
But I think that people have this like negative towards it, like, oh well, you can't just because also guys, like I think people forget it takes action too. It's not just like, oh, I'm gonna think I own a house in Ecuador by the beach and then not do shit about it. Like you have to fucking get your ass up out of the couch and go chase it. Like it's not gonna fucking just happen either, right? Like magically. So
Okay,
I heard
I can talk.
manifestation,
Okay,
and I kept hearing manifestation through your journey. So that's the question I have: is what is manifestation to you?
it's a couple of things. So we go back to the Bible and go faith without works. That's all that is.
Mm,
Faith without work. What it means is the faith is for the future. Faith is always about the future. I have faith that God will walk me through this. I have faith that God will heal. I have faith that my spiritual entity, again, I try to keep it broad for everyone, is going to produce something or create something or allow me to be able to deal with something in the future. Okay. But what we're talking about is the future without action equals zero. It doesn't manifest. It does not become reality. So when I talk about manifestation, what I'm talking about is the dream, the aspiration, the mountaintop, we'll call it, and what is the plan, the grind, the work, the habit, the action to obtain that desire, because in the end it's a desire. Okay, and we can desire good, we can desire bad or evil, but it's a desire. And so when I remember, I said my first question I asked my guys, you could put it that way, you know, is what is your manifestation? Okay, What is your dream? But it's great to have the dream, to articulate it. First of all, the first step is you got to articulate the dream. You can't say, I just want to be rich. That's not a dream. That's a statement. Okay, I want to make $6 million by the time I'm 40 years old. Cool. Okay, how are we going to manifest that? How are we going to do that? Okay, let's put together the plan. Let's work the plan. Let's modify the plan over time. Let's have faith that this future state of being can happen. So I'm a big one on the manifestation. I'm a big one. I can go more into the spiritual realm. I can go more into the temporal world, the action world. I can give steps. I'm always listening to how it's done too. Because let me put it this way, the plan is so important. But the problem is, so many times we have a plan up here. I'm a big one. You need to write down the plan. I'm getting ready to go take, December 15th, I shut down for the rest of the year. What I mean by shut down, I don't really do anything in my work. But I really am working, because I will audit the year before, and then I will set up my plan, which will modify throughout the year. But I have a plan, I have a dashboard, I have a budget, all the things I need to do, or we need to do. I have my company, the knowledge with my wife. But I will work on those so I can manifest that vision of where I want to be. I have a goal. And let me just say something about you being a multimillionaire. I honor that. I honor that. I don't envy it. I'm not jealous. I honor it. And a lot of times we need to hear that. And I need people that are listening to hear that. I honor. I'm not trying to take yours. I'm not mad at you. Because what a lot of times is we have this thing called envy, which is, again, one of the 7 deadly sins in the Bible. We have this thing called envy, which means I want what you have, but I don't want to go through what you went through to get it.
Wow.
Okay?
Wow.
Because believe me, there was some discomfort on the way. You can't legally get there unless you maybe a trust baby or something like that. I'm not a trust baby. I don't think you was either, Billy. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. No, I don't think you was either.
That'd be cool, bro, if I was.
No, it wouldn't be. Let me push back on that one. That's how I am. No, it wouldn't be cool.
Right.
There is such a satisfaction. There is such a, let me put it this way. If I was broke tomorrow, bro, I could come back up to $500,000.
Yeah.
Probably in a year or two.
Yeah.
If I was broke. You talk almost any millionaire that's earned it themselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
Will tell you, I could lose it. Man, the first million is the hardest. It took me from let's say from 07 to literally this year to get the mill. Okay, now I'm talking about net asset position. The next mill or next $500,000 is going to take me another year.
Yep.
Year and a half at the most.
So true.
Okay? So anyway, I honor that. And I'll say one other thing. I honor it because of your background. I'm going to tell you the truth is, people of color, Hispanics, African Americans, others of color, it's more difficult for us. And a lot of it is because we don't have the mentors, we don't have the teachers, we don't have the support system. We're not in those rooms that we've been in. Okay? And when I looked around that room, I'm like, how many people of color in here, And it wasn't a lot. I'm just going to say that. It wasn't a lot. But again, and that, let me make one more. I hate to say it, bro. Sometimes we got to get out of our peoples. We just got it. Especially if we can't find, I don't know of a Black mastermind that's all millionaire men. I don't know of one. I just don't know of one. If somebody does, contact me. I would love to tap in. I'm not gonna say I'm gonna join. I'm gonna tap in, sit back in the cut, listen, and maybe join them. But I do have masterminds that are predominantly white, and I'm cool with that. Because again, I'm trying to achieve where they're at because it takes care of my family. And I'm all about my family and my dream and my aspiration. Okay. But again, we're much more rare. So again, I honor.
Wow, man. All right, bro. Jesus, so much fire, bro.
Yes, Jesus.
Amen, amen. Let's go.
Hallelujah.
Yeah, we have to wrap it up. Otherwise, I could sit here and talk to you, Ken. But obviously, we got each other's numbers, bro. And anytime you need something, bro, you just holler, man, and I'm there. You're the kind of people I want around me, going forward in my life, because it's relatable. There's a lot of stuff that you've gone through, bro, that I can relate, and to see the star you've became, bro, like it's just amazing, man. And you mentioned God earlier, and it wouldn't happen unless you had God working as well along with you, and you did just that, bro. So I commend you for that, man. We have to wrap it up because you have lives that you have to go change, bro, and you do your thing. You mentioned starting to plan for next year. I love that. I do want to bring up the last 3 questions to you that I ask every guest. And I've been looking forward to this because of your past, bro, and because of all the amazing things that you've done since. The first question that I have for you is, if you were to look at that young kid, the young teen, all the craziness that you were going through at that time, if you were to look back and say something to that boy, what would it be?
I love you. That's it. I love you. Because I didn't hear that from a black man. My father did not say that to me. You'll get me crying. But that's what I would tell him. I love you, and you're loved by an older black man. Some of the guys I work with, I tell almost all of my mentees I love them. Hey, I love you, bro. I love you, man. And it was hard in the beginning because on the streets, we did not say that.
Yeah.
That's not how we talk in the penitentiary.
Wow.
Okay. So I had to break that script. And I'm true. I love you. Anything I can do, that's legal within reason, I will do to support you. But I had to say that to myself too. But I would say it to that young. So funny. I just thought about that question yesterday. That's wild. I didn't know you were going to ask that. But what's the next question?
Man, and bro, I just want to add on to that. It's so crazy because you mentioned doing that to the people you surround yourself with, your mentees. I do the same thing, bro. Like after we end our calls with a prayer, man, every Thursday when we meet, that's the last thing I say is love y'all, man. Or when I speak to any of them one-on-one, anybody, you, bro, like I got love for you, man. I love you, bro. Like, that's the kind of people that we have to surround ourselves with. And the nice thing is that you actually see it. It's that domino effect because, I remember when a few years ago when I started doing it to friends that are still around that are, productive and doing the right stuff, right? Like they've changed along with me, right? And I'll say it on Facebook, I'll text it to them, and then guess what? Other friends will start doing it as well. Or they themselves, I've noticed a lot of friends are doing it as well. So it's just, you can't lose with love, man. So I love that, bro. And it's so true. We have to change the script because I didn't get that from my mom growing up either, right? Like, and nowadays I say it first to her. She's still, learning all that. But anyways, love it, bro. The next question is, so the million dollar hustle, bro, is obviously things that you have to do, habits, whatever you want to call them, that you have to do in order for you to get there, right? And essentially, it's going to be a book. Once I feel like I have it compacted and I get to it, but until then, I want to hear from you. In order for you to get to the $1 million hustle, so if you were to tell somebody right now, somebody listening, maybe they're struggling, they've never done anything, what are the 3 things that you have to do in order for you to get to that $1 million hustle, to be successful? And if you do these 3 things, you are not going to fail. What are those 3 things?
Number one, you got to have a goal. That's number one. You got to have a desired state of being. That's the term I use. A desired state of being. This is what I desire. This is my state of being. So, because you can define that financially, physically, emotionally, whatever. Got to have the goal. Number two, you have to have the plan. Okay. What you're doing is you're solving for a problem. I talk about this all the time with my guys. So, what is a problem? A problem is a set of circumstances that seeks an answer or a solution. So what we have is, so I said, people, give me an example of a problem. They'll say 2 plus 2. That's not a problem. That's a statement. 2 plus 2 equal is a problem. Okay? Because that's seeking a solution. So we have the problem. The problem is our present state of being is XYZ. We broke and we a joke. Okay, that's our problem. But I am seeking equals a desired state of being where I have $500,000 in the bank, I have a home that's paid off, and I have a loving wife and children, and I'm a child of God. Again, this is, you have to, each individual take. Then this is, because I only have 3, I only get to have 3. My third one is you have to be comfortable with pain, period. You have to get comfortable with the grind. You have to get comfortable with setback. You have to get comfortable with falling down. A lot of people can't deal with pain. And I could talk about that literally for an hour, but I'm not. But the key thing is, can you deal? That's the grind. There's no grind without friction. Think about it. There's no grind without friction. Okay? And if you learn how to grind, I was looking on your shelf in your books, I saw the hustle on there, and I think of hustling, I think of grinding. Hey, what's what we called it on the street? I'm going out to grind. I'm going out to sell drugs. I'm grinding. Okay? But I took that and put that into the legitimate legal world, and I grind to this day. I'm in my office at 5:30. I do well. Like you, we do well, but I'm still grinding, bro. I'll probably grind. I tried taking a little time off, and it felt so weird. I'd rather grind, start another business. Okay, so that's it. Pain, being able to absorb, understand, and work through pain, have a plan, have a goal.
Boom. I love that, bro. And you mentioned the hustle. You know, it's funny, $1 Million Hustle. As you go through these levels, you know, and it's something that I love preaching because, you know, there's also, it gets to a point too where you do have to enjoy the fruits of your labor. And it's funny because all I knew was hustle, right? Grind, whatever you want to call it. Like, that's all I knew, and that's what it takes. Like, you have to. I mentioned it earlier. Get off your fucking couch and go chase it, man. Go hustle. But I will say that the goal is to get to a point where you're not, you know, and this is where I struggle because I love the hustle. I love that. And you mentioned, like, you know, this is why I'm doing this podcast. Like, legit, nowadays, it's more, I'm on the purpose side, right? Like, my passion. Like, I'm not, you know, literally painting for my construction company or for my investments that I've made. Like, it's all money working with money. And it's important to know that you also have to understand that, you know, it gets to the point where you have to learn how to, and I don't want to say balance, but that's the first word that came to my head because there's no balance at the end of the day. It's crazy. Like you said, bro, like you have to be comfortable with the pain, grind, like all that. It's so true. And there's no balance at the end of the day, but you have to be okay with knowing that, at one point, you have to also work smarter at the end of the day. And
for sure.
That's why the whole hustle and grind and all that, just know that that's what it takes, but it's not forever either. And also, once you get to that point where it's not forever, you have to chase your passion and the purpose, right? Like you speaking nowadays, bro, that's a passion of yours, right? Like, you know, and I think that because I've spoken in stages and it's a career that I'm also taking on, right? And it goes along with my music. I perform at big stages before, small stages and all that, but it's a passion. So anyways, I just wanted to mention that, man, because I love that you brought that up. last question. So Finding Ken, when is it dropping, bro? And then,
Oh man, I wanted to drop that in and I hadn't said anything about that. So I'm so excited, Billy. You just don't know. I have your book and it's so cool when I meet people that have their books. And people have been telling me you need to write a book. You need to write a book. You need to write a book. Because we touched on 2% of the stuff that I've been involved with and the lessons that I've learned. Because I'm not here to write a book that just tells you about all the ugly and all the crazy things I did on the streets and in the penitentiary. That's not the reason. That's not who I am today. That's like glorifying this stupidity of this addiction or whatever it may be. But anyway, the book is called Finding Ken, A Black Man's Journey from the Ivy Leagues to the Streets, the Penitentiary, and Back. It will be released in January through Signature Message Company, our buddy in LA, and Stefan. And I'm super excited. I'm going to promote it strongly. Hopefully do some book work, book tours. It is not going to be, it's going to be an easy read, but I keep it real. Anyone who knows me, I keep it real. This stuff we haven't even talked about that, that it's sensitive to others, not to me. I wouldn't say it. But anyway, it's coming out in January. I'm going to do hopefully a bunch of podcasts. I'd love to come on again after
for sure.
After I've published it. And maybe it's not even really the promotion. And I want to say this, it's real important I say this. Again, I am not doing this for money. I'm not doing this to make money. All I want this book to do is get me on more stages so I can share my triumph and my glory to God. Okay, that's what I want to do. I want to give people hope. I want to inspire them. I want them to understand that it can be done. Been there, done that. And look at me today. I am so comfortable in my skin. Mm-hmm. And at one point, I tried to kill myself. I tried to destroy myself. Okay? Wow. I love me. I love Ken. Ken, good people. Okay? Billy, you good people. Love you, bro. Love what you've accomplished. Love that you got this podcast. Love that the people that you help, you are helping people. All our staff members, we're helping them, feed their families. And the people we work with for free. And this stuff that you're doing behind the scenes, I don't even know about. The stuff I do, you don't even know about. That's cool. I don't need to, go on the stage and, I'm doing all this stuff. Look how great I am. No, my glory comes from God. And my glory, my sense of worth comes from knowing internally that I'm doing the right thing.
Love it. Man, fire, bro. And then besides your book, bro, real quick, what's a book that you would recommend that has maybe changed your life?
100. Every man I work with, all 40 I've worked with over the last 15 years, read the first two books are always the same. And that is the 6 Pillars of Self-Esteem by Nathaniel Branden and The Speed of Trust by Stephen Covey. I highly recommend each of them. And let me just mention one more thing on that, Billy, because I appreciate you going down that alley. In January, I'm going to have to do it now to be accountable. I'm starting a book club, free, for men, only men, of color, and it includes Hispanics, Black. If you identify, and I'm just one of the people, if you identify, okay, I'm cool. But it's going to be a book study. It's going to be a mastermind book study. And we'll start off with one of those 2 books, but it's not about me. I'll lead it. But then within the group, I'll have the next person stand up, and it's going to be your nonfiction book that we're going to do a book study on. Because it's not all about me. But anyway, that starts up in January. So I'm putting that together right now. And it's free. Free for me.
Love it, man. Love it. Where can people find you, bro?
Best way to find me is LinkedIn. I believe is LinkedIn. I mean, I'm a very open person. If you want to find me, 907-250-8488. Ken at KenMillerSpeaks.com, or LinkedIn. Ken Miller 84 is my handle. Just go Ken Miller 84 or go Ken Miller Speaker, and you'll find me. And I respond. Literally, I respond. If you call me, I pick up. If you email me, I pick up. Now, if you come with some bullshit, we do. I mean, I don't have time for that. But if you want to come and you need to talk about something, or you interested in something that I'm doing, come on with it. Come on. Let's holler. I'm too grateful. My time is not so valuable I can't give 10, 15 minutes to a man in need. If you're a woman, I'm probably not the one to talk to. You can LinkedIn me, but don't give me calling me. Don't get me in trouble. Got a good home life, okay?
Well, thank you so much, Ken. This has been
Thank
amazing,
you,
man. Again, I started it off by saying it, and I'm gonna say it again. Like, if this man doesn't teach you resilience and just change and success, you have no, whatever story you have no excuse, man. This man has been through it all. Thank you so much, Ken. Any final words before we get out of here, man?
Yeah. My final words is this. Thank you. Whoever is listening to this podcast, thank you for investing in yourself. Because you only have capacity in two areas, time and money. And you've taken some time out of your life, whether you're busy or not, I don't care, to invest in yourself. And so I hope this has been a value added. Keep hanging with Billy. Keep watching his podcast. He's good people. He's good. The highest compliment I can give a man is you're good people. And so I want to thank all those that are listening.
Thank you, bro. Love you, brother. I appreciate your time, man. This has been amazing. Those of you who are listening, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube at Billy the Kidd. Follow me on Instagram. Follow Ken as well, and tag us in your story when you watch this. That way he can reshare, I can reshare, and we could all just spread some positivity out there, baby. Until next time. Vamonos. Close-minded people mad at me that I'm speaking facts. Or maybe could it be that I'm getting racks? Open your mind, gotta open it to receive. I'm always 10 toes for what I believe. Close-minded people mad at me that I'm speaking facts. Or maybe could it be that I'm getting racks? Open your mind, gotta open it to receive. I'm always 10 toes for what I believe.